del Futbol Club Barcelona abans d'aquest partit que el Barça jugarà contra el Levant demà diumenge a partir de les 12 del migdia.
Seguirem la roda de premsa amb el tècnic del Futbol Club Barcelona, Enrique Martínez.
Good afternoon, and here we are in the press room for Luis Enrique's conference ahead of tomorrow's game against Levante.
Edgar, Fornos.
Hola, Luis. Edgar Fornos de Barça TV. Bona tarda. M'agradaria saber com es presenta aquest partit davant d'un Llevant que s'ha reforçat.
The first question is about a team that's made a lot of signings during the winter transfer window.
Se acerca un partido difícil para nosotros.
Well, it's a difficult game for us, I'm sure, because the team is in need of points. They're a team that I think have signed some useful players, and we're entering a decisive phase of the championship where results are practically determinant. It's another good challenge for us to continue staying top of the table.
Bona tarda, Luis Enrique. Laura Brugués, de TV3. Comentaves que és un partit difícil, però després de la golejada contra el
You say it's a difficult game, but after winning 7-0 against Valencia, is this a game where you need to remind the players how important it is because there are 3 points to play for? No, one game has nothing to do with another. It's a different competition, and every game is difficult. This is against a team that needs points. They've made a lot of signings, and we need to prove ourselves on the pitch. I'm sure it will be difficult. The players are very aware of the difficulties of the game.
Bona tarda, Luis. Jordi Borda, de Catalunya Ràdio. Preguntaria si t'han canviat d'alguna manera els plans la golejada de la semifinal.
Whether his plans have changed after the 7-0 of the first leg against Valencia, with the second leg effectively being decided already. No, generally I haven't. I'm continuing with what I had planned before. I don't think the league has anything to do with what happened 3 days ago. Neither do I think we need to exaggerate either positively or negatively. I really don't think we need to overdo things. We just need to focus on what's going to happen tomorrow in Valencia. I'm sure it's going to be a difficult game. Nobody in the team thinks it's going to be a placid game.
Sònia Gelma de RAC1, demà jugueu a les 12, ja sé que no pots controlar
Asking about the 12 o'clock start tomorrow.
El de les 4 de la tarda, pel fet que s'assembla més a com entreneu habitualment.
And whether it's perhaps easy because that's the time when they normally train. Well, there's a lot of unwritten theories about kick-off times. 12 o'clock, it's time for a sandwich. So is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've managed to do pretty well at every time. Whether it's the same time as a training session making a difference, I don't know. Training sessions are very different to matches. That's the game we've got. The league has decided that games will be played at noon. All teams in the Spanish league have to play at that time. It's our turn tomorrow, and we can't control that. We can only control what happens on the pitch.
En un penalti, ¿qué ventaja tiene el delantero respecto al portero cuando lo tira sin carrera?
Asking about a penalty and whether a player taking the penalty has an advantage over the goalkeeper if he doesn't make a run-up. I remember playing for Gijón. I can't remember if I had a big run-up or a small one. I can't really tell you if it's an advantage or not. All I know is I missed that penalty. Talking about the institutional kerfuffle surrounding the team and whether that affects the players and all the legal issues that are going on. Or are the players used to that kind of thing and does it not bother them too much? The team is focused on what we really care about and what we prepare for in training, and that is matches. Of course, there are non-sporting issues, and we're not immune to those. Of course, they're going to affect us in some kind of way. That's only logical. But the players have been here for a long time. Others are newer to this kind of thing. Whether the news is positive or negative, we need to try to make the players immune to those things, but it's always going to affect them. It's not easy playing for Barca. That's part and parcel of the package.
Hola Luis, Silvia Ortiz, Cadena COPE. Acabamos de ver en televisión unas imágenes muy desagradables del padre de Neymar anoche.
There were some images of Neymar's father in a confrontation with the press. Neymar was out of his house at 1:20 at night. Did he have permission to be out at that time?
Las cosas o las normas no las voy a hacer públicas.
I'm not going to make my regulations public. I see no point in doing that.
Porque hay gente que se pasa de la línea, no todos, evidentemente.
There are some people that do things that they shouldn't do, but some people also exaggerate things. I think what happens in the press can be quite pathetic sometimes. So everything that's regarding preparing for football matches, that's my responsibility. My relationship with my players is not something I'm going to be announcing in public, but please don't worry about these things. The players are in perfect condition to compete and to make the fans happy. The rest of it is all part of the media circus that I really don't like to get involved in.
De Radio Marca, buenas tardes. Te pregunto por el Levante, es un equipo que se ha reforzado
Asking about Levante, they've made a lot of new signings, particularly large amount of players that they've signed in the winter transfer window. Does that make it difficult for you to plan because the team has made so many changes? It doesn't condition what I'm doing, but what I can tell you is Levante have made some very good signings. Rossi, for example, was a player who could surprise us, but I know all those players work well. I think that they're a team that tries to play good football, and they're going to put pressure on us, that's for sure. They're going to create a lot of difficulties when we don't have the ball and when we do. It doesn't mean I'm going to completely change the way I play, because we know Barca have got a very set way of playing, and that's not going to change. But it does mean that it's going to be extra difficult this game. Tomorrow's your 100th game as manager, and it's actually the best record ever for the first 100 games for a Barca manager. So why are you, or what makes you particularly proud about your record? I'm proud of everything, the good and the bad. That's part of my 100 games as Barca manager. But I speak of myself, but behind me there is a whole coaching staff. We've all enjoyed these 100 games, also suffered at times. The statistics are what they are because we've got the best players. They don't just make the fans happy, but they also make us, the coaching staff, very happy too.
Emilio Pérez de Rozas, del periódico, cuando se enfrentan dos equipos que uno tiene que ganar para el título y otro tiene que...
Talk about a game between a team that's fighting for the title and another team that's fighting to avoid relegation, and whether it's a very different kind of pressure and whether that affects the run of the game.
Bueno, son objetivos. El nuestro es el que tenemos.
Yeah, we've been
aiming
to win the title. That's what Barca always aim for. We always aim to win every game. Some games you're motivated automatically, other times perhaps you need to work on motivation.
Más peligrosa, más difícil, pues quizás una situación diferente.
And it's different because we are playing against a team in a very contrasting situation to our own. But could this be a double-edged knife? Well, I don't know. We just have to take these things as a positive. For Levante, these games against teams that are playing against the title, they're very difficult for them. Their league perhaps doesn't, their situation doesn't depend on these, but any points they can get against the top teams is going to be a huge bonus for them. But their real games are the ones when they're playing against direct rivals at the bottom of the table. But I'm sure they'll have something to say tomorrow. They're especially dangerous games because we're coming into that last third of the season when, if you look at statistics, then the form book goes out of the window and lower ranked teams often end up getting good results against the top teams. That's the way things work in football.
El otro día sancionaron a Felipe Luis por 3 partidos.
Talking about the 2-match suspension for Felipe Luis, which has now been reduced to 1 game. That's for his tackle on Messi.
Esta decisión en concreto, pero sí le preguntaría si le parece que el juego duro no está lo suficientemente castigado.
Do you think enough is being done to control dangerous play in Spanish football? Well, if you'd need to go back and analyse every sanction for every tackle that's ever been made, it's very difficult to make a general appraisal, but I would like to see more cards for ridiculous, less cards for ridiculous things like protesting and more for more contact-based offences, but it's very difficult to analyse these kinds of things. At the end of the day, you just have to trust in the referees' criteria. That's why they're there, and that's why they're professionals.
L'Esportiu de Catalunya, demà, com ha dit el meu company, arribarà als 100 partits oficials.
Going back to his 100th game, do you think your team has hit its peak since the time you've been here? And is this your personal peak as well? No, last season, coming into the end of the season, that was a wonderful time with great sensations. This season, we've been playing well over the last few months, but to specially pick this particular moment out, I don't think so. It's an interesting time, a positive time, no doubt. But the conclusions are always to be made at the end of the season.
Hola Luis, Thiago Arantes de ESPN Brasil. Yo me acuerdo que en su primera rueda de prensa como entrenador del Barça decía que quería un equipo atractivo.
In your first press conference, you spoke about how you wanted Barca to be remembered as playing the best football they've ever played. You played 100 games now, got some great results. Do you think this is the kind of Barca that you wanted when you first came to the club? Well, I don't know if I said it in exactly those words, but I think I said something like I wanted Barca to become more unpredictable, to have more resources to draw on, to have the capacity to do different things and not just to follow the very attractive philosophy the club has, but to add more to that. After 100, well, 99 games, I think we're on those lines. You can't say what we're going to achieve because it's probably best not to lose your head and just focus on day-to-day matters and see how the team is progressing and adapt to situations as they arise. But there have been 99 very intense games. The statistics say there have been a lot of wins, but there have been lots of difficulties, some very high demands. We've needed to analyze different solutions to all kinds of different problems, and I'm very happy to have reached this milestone. But the past is now in the past. The best things, hopefully, have yet to come.
Jordi Rubio para TF1 Francia. Aymeric Laporte, pese a su juventud, ha superado ya los 100 partidos con el Athletic Club. ¿Qué opinión te merece esto? ¿Qué opinas de él?
Talking about Laporte, who's played 100 games at Athletic Bilbao, despite his youth. But Luis Enrique would rather not comment on players at other clubs, because that's setting off the media merry-go-round, and he'd rather not comment on that.
Hola, mister. Te pregunto por uno que sí que está en el Barça. Neymar, ¿te molesta que se hable más de su manera de jugar? Me refiero a sus provocaciones, entre comillas.
Do you prefer that people sort of talk about his provocative things sometimes on the pitch rather than his footballing qualities? I don't really know what people are talking about. There's a lot of room, but I think people are also very aware of his amazing footballing talents. What he does on the field is spectacular in every sense. That's all I interest about him, his performances to continue being as good as they have been until now.
Ahir Jaume Roure es va acusar a Sandro Rossell d'haver-li espiat el correu electrònic durant els anys 2009, 2010 i 2011.
Talking about spying on emails.
Enviats o també rebuts per part d'algun membre de la Junta Directiva del Barça o del mateix entrenador Pep Guardiola en aquell moment.
Something about emails that have been exchanged between members of the board during Pep Guardiola's time as manager. And you were manager of Barca B at the time, so have you perhaps discussed this issue? And do you ever feel that somebody's been spying on your emails? Do you know anything about this?
De todas maneras, yo
No.
no tenía ni ordenador, o sea que...
When I was training the B team, I didn't have a computer, so there's nothing for me to say on that.
Estados Unidos, en la primera vuelta, en el partido contra el Levante.
Going back to the first game against Levante, Luis Suarez and Iniesta were rested.
El partido de mañana, enlazando, es un partido.
So is tomorrow's game another chance to rotate some of your top players? Or do you think because it's the last third of the season and with the Cup semi-final apparently sorted out, there's nothing to change? Luis Enrique says there will be no rotations tomorrow.
Jugar un partido en casa, jugarlo fuera.
It's very different playing a game at home or playing a game away. The Camp Nou has a boost on the players. Tomorrow we're playing away. And we need to prove that we can do the same away as we can at home. And it's much more difficult to play away. And there are so many different circumstances that you can't control. Okay, the final question. No questions more. That's it. So tomorrow, Levante. Don't forget, an early start, 12 o'clock, noon. So there's a Barca training session following immediately now. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.